The year is 1763. Britain has just won the 7 Years' War. King George III is the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. He's got new colonies, he's got swagger, and he's ready to party. However, there was one tiny issue. He checked his bank account and saw a giant minus sign. War is incredibly expensive. Britain was so broke they were considering selling Scotland on Craigslist. Therefore, Parliament needed a massive influx of cash, and they needed it yesterday.
Negative 130 million pounds? Dude, uncool. Hey Americans, we protected you. Give us your money.
Boom! The Stamp Act. Meanwhile, across the ocean, the American colonists were living their best lives. They were rich, they were happy, and best of all, they paid basically zero taxes. Naturally, the British government thought, hey, we protected them from the French, now they should pay up. Britain taxed everything printed, newspapers, calendars, this script I'm reading right now. Hey, wait, I have to pay for this? The colonists were livid. But in reality, no one was more terrified than the smugglers. Hancock was a humble, hard-working, illegal smuggler. He was the richest guy in Boston because he avoided British taxes and smuggled cheap Dutch tea. Consequently, if the British actually started enforcing tax laws, his massive illegal empire would go poof.
Oh heavens, the law! I need to incite a massive riot.
But my hands are too soft and moisturized for violence. I need a professional maniac. So, Hancock walked to the corner, where Samuel Adams was furiously shouting at a pigeon.
I hate you, bird. You represent British tyranny.
Enter Samuel Adams, a man whose only marketable skill was complaining at maximum volume. Hancock gave him a bag of cash. Together, they formed the Sons of Liberty. After that, the Sons of Liberty bullied the tax collectors so brutally that Parliament actually backed down and repealed the taxes. Except for one, the tea tax, just to prove they were still in charge. Fast forward to 1773. The British East India Company is crying in the corner. They are a massive, evil megacorp, but they're going bankrupt because they have 17 million pounds of unsold tea.
Your Majesty, please, the Americans are only drinking Hancock's smuggled Dutch garbage.
To fix this, King George made a big brain move. He passed the Tea Act. Surprisingly, it didn't raise prices. It actually made British tea insanely cheap, cheaper than the smuggled stuff.
Muhaha, cough, cough. The Americans will buy my cheap tea, my company is saved, and by buying it they accidentally admit I have the right to tax them. It's a Trojan horse made of tea. I am literally a god.
However, King George forgot one thing. Cheap legal tea meant Hancock's smuggling empire was dead, and you do not mess with a billionaire's money. As a result, Samuel Adams fired up the cancel culture machine.
Tea is evil. If you drink it, your legs will fall off. Probably.
On December 16, 1773, 3 tea ships were stuck in Boston Harbor. So, Adams and his boys dressed up as Mohawk Native Americans to hide their identities. Was it a good disguise? Absolutely not.
How do you do, fellow Native Americans? Wicked good night to dump some tea, am I right?
They boarded the ships. But because they were gentlemen protesters, they didn't kill anyone. They didn't steal anything. They just awkwardly broke open 342 chests of tea and threw them into the ocean. Yeah! Chug! Chug! Wait, we're throwing it! Dump! 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 They destroyed $2 million worth of tea. Then, they swept the floor, fixed a broken padlock, and politely walked home. When King George read the news, his brain physically blue-screened.
They did what to the tea?
The king went full tyrant mode. He passed the intolerable acts. He shut down Boston Harbor. He canceled their government. He essentially locked Boston in their room without supper. He thought this would scare the other colonies. Instead, it terrified them. George Washington from Virginia said seriously at the meeting,
They cancelled Boston? Get my musket.
Suddenly, the colonies realized they had to unite or they would all be destroyed one by one. The king had lit a fuse. The American Revolution was about to begin.